This is Histari. I thought it would be fun to try this out, where I can just talk to you about random stories or things that I think could just be cool. I don't quite know what to call this series, if we want to call it a series, if it ends up becoming a series. As of right now, Night Fables is a cool word, but we'll see what it ends up becoming once/if it releases. I remember my high school, the latter half of my high school experience was the start and the COVID lockdown. I remember back around my senior year of high school in May of 2021, I had injured my leg, 3 ligaments, a nerve, rolled my ankle, did all of this stuff, and I was essentially immobilized for about 3 months, I would say, up until right before I moved to New York. I was immobilized. But I remember sometime around July, it was 4th of July actually, it was 4th of July of 2021, some of my friends, we all text each other's group chat, and we're like, oh, let's meet up, let's hang out for this. I'm like, sure, let's do it. So we drive around, and somehow I'm able to fit in this car, because I was in a knee immobilizer, which you don't know, it's this long brace or a cast. It starts from about your mid-thigh all the way down to the middle of your shin, which, to straighten out your whole leg, I mean, your leg's a big part of your body, so you can't bend it, you can't do anything with it, is the point. So I was on that, on the crutches, on painkillers. Excuse me, damn. So somehow I was able to fit in the car, and we went. We found this random park outside of somewhere in Western New York. So that's where I didn't grow up in New York City. I grew up outside of Buffalo, in Western New York, about 30 miles from Niagara Falls, and we picked this one park. I don't know why. It was kind of one of those things you just see, like, yeah, sure. So we're walking around, and it gets so incredibly. We start in this really dense part of the woods. It's muddy as hell. It's all this giant, steep incline. How I didn't fall from it, I still don't quite know. But we find this clearing, and we go out, and a friend of mine opens his Snap Map, and he just says, out of the blue, there's about 200 people around us, I'd say. And at this point it was around, I think, 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. And when it's that late and that far out, it's dark. It gets unbelievably dark. It's difficult to see your own feet sometimes. Unless you're wearing bright neon basketball shoes, it's really difficult to see your own shoes. So to hear that was suddenly, it's just, wow, a complete different change of the vibe. And we just took that information and somehow just kept walking. We go around this bend and these trees, and then take around this turn, and we hear this really faint, like, collection of sound and noise. It's just like, I can't recreate it, but it's just like, you know, just hearing a bunch of different stuff, but it's so far away, it's so faint, but you can hear it. And we turn another bend, and we see this patch of trees in the background. And again, when it's so dark and so far away, it's this wall of black. You know, it's not green, it's black. That's how you can tell the trees apart from the sky. The sky is at least a little bit purple or blue. The trees are black. You know, but in this wall of black, there's this collage and this mass of neon light just kind of pulling out and pulling back in to this wall. And then you walk a little bit closer and you can faintly see people walking out and back into this mass of light. And, you know, eventually you can slowly hear, it was probably something like Travis Scott playing in the background, you know. You can slowly hear bits and pieces of Astroworld in this otherwise space almost. One of my friends was really curious and he really wanted to go in. And he was like, "Oh, we should go in, you know. There's going to be somebody that we know there." And we were all curious, without a doubt, but I could slowly feel the painkillers leave my body. And I knew once they leave, I mean, if you'd ever had to do all of that type of stuff, you understand how easy it is to really get attached to that, because when you're not on those types of medication, it's difficult to describe what you feel, and the only way you can really describe it to get it across to somebody who hasn't felt it is just, it's impossible to sleep and almost impossible to move. And all that you can do is just lie there, and hope that it doesn't get any worse than how it is right now. Several nights I had where I couldn't sleep because of it. Even after I would take, you take 2 pills and then you try to go to bed, I would take them and they just wouldn't come in. They wouldn't kick in. And so desperately I thought, I just gotta take a little bit more. But you're in so much pain, you can't even get up out of bed. And you knew, even if you took them, that means there's going to be a time in the future where you will have nothing left to take. So you can like, oh, God, all right, I'll just stick it through. Those memories came back to me at that moment when we were in the field. And as much as I wanted to explore what was going on at that party, I couldn't. So we walked back, and when we got back, the parking lot that when we originally got there was completely empty. But we get back to the parking lot, and it's completely full. I mean, every spot taken along the edge, both sides of where our van was, and sort of this giant crowd of people, about 50 to 100 other people in this parking lot. And there was it wasn't like a real car meet like how they do in LA or Texas or New York. They would stop and get out and talk to the driver. We didn't know anybody who was there. And then we left. Went to Potler's. Wasn't even open then. It wasn't open that night. I don't remember where we went after that. Probably went to like a Wegmans or something, or a gas station, just to get something small to eat and then go home. Um, there was a sort of I forgot who talked about this sort of theory of you have designated places. It might be cognitive mapping. Cognitive mapping might be a different thing, but that word it also sounds cool. It sounds official. But you associate specific places with different things. The kitchen is where you cook and where you eat. To sleep there feels odd because there's this association with it. It's not a normal place to sleep. It's almost not a safe place to sleep. It doesn't feel like it's a safe place to sleep. Same as though you wouldn't cook in your bedroom. Maybe some people do. I personally, I don't. I mean, I have nothing else here anyway, so what do I have to cook on? But with COVID, pre-COVID, we had all this diversity and space and associations with it. But now, with COVID, either the majority of your spaces are cut off and reduced to nothing, or you have to, for people who are working and doing other things, one space became everything. So now there isn't this safeness, this privacy, and these boundaries that pre-COVID aided us, Going to your bedroom or your basement to call somebody to talk about something delicate didn't feel safe anymore, because this was also where you worked, or where other people were working, or where other people were. And I think that's something that affected a lot of people, So then once you had any chance to go outside, to expand again, and especially when you're young, it's like, I'm not gonna die. I'm gonna do it. And thankfully, none of my close friends never really faced any of those consequences, but there were people in my area who eventually did, one way or another. Whether from I don't think there was anybody from the virus, but that sort of urgency to go out and the things that come with it, It's a strange thought. I don't know how unique it is. It might not be unique at all. Probably isn't. But I could at least try to verbalize it and talk about it. Hopefully it gets some people thinking about things. Because again, when you're 17, you're a kid. You're willing to risk your life just to party because you hadn't touched another person in over a year. You hadn't been in the presence of somebody in over a year. I think this is a solid place to stop for now. I think I might do more of these, and I think what I want to do is, at least for these things, I guess talk about some sort of experiences I've had at night. Some things that I've seen, or things that friends of mine have seen. That context from lockdown to post-COVID, and sort of how I'd at least handled it, or friends of mine or people I met have handled it. I think it's something, for me, worth just looking at. And I'm just curious by it. And hopefully, someone watching this is curious as well. Alright. Good night.